There are 3 candidates. They are Joe Lamonto, Anthony Napolitano, and Mary O'Connor. Our forum will be split into 2 parts. For the first part, each candidate will give a presentation explaining why they should be the next alderman of the 41st Ward. We ask that each candidate's presentation not exceed 5 minutes. At the 4-minute mark, Linda Herrick will be our timekeeper, and she'll be given the 1-minute warning by putting her index finger up. Second part will be a series of questions that were decided by the leadership of our association. We are not going to allow questions from the audience during the forum. All candidates will be present after the meeting to answer individual questions. We'll now begin part 1. To determine the speaking order, we will draw the names of the candidates at random. Drawing the names will be longtime Foster Harlem member Leon Herrick.
Mary O'Connor.
Mary O'Connor will speak first. Anthony Napolitano will speak second. Joe Lamonto will speak third.
Being at the table?
At the table or whatever you like, the podium. Would you please welcome our first candidate, Mary O'Connor.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chris and the Harlem and Foster Community Group for inviting me here today. My name is Mary O'Connor, and I was elected as your alderman in 2011. For those of you who are new to the community, I'd like to share a little bit about myself before I became the alderman. I have been a part of this community for over 50 years. As well as living here, I also have 2 businesses who have been a part of this community for 20-some years. It's Unforgettable Edibles Catering Company and O'Connor's Deli and Market. As well as being a business owner, I was very active in our community. I was the president of our Edison Park Chamber of Commerce. I was involved in our community council, and I'm the founder of the Edison Park Turkey Trot, which has given hundreds of thousands of dollars to local charities. In 2011, when I decided to run for alderman and I came door to door talking to our residents and different community groups, you talked about things to me that you felt were important. You talked to me about education, infrastructure, parks, city services. I'm pleased to tell you today that I delivered on all those requests. To date, we have invested $100 million into our local schools. $17 million went into our Taft High School, and Taft is now recognized as one of the best high schools to send your children to. We have brought in a new curriculum, which is an IB program that is recognized throughout the country. Our parks, almost every playground has a new play lot. One of our parks is we're working on a special design, so that is not completed to date. $30 million has been invested into our sewer infrastructure. We've increased all of our city services. We've improved our tree trimming service, our street resurfacing, and as I mentioned, our sewer infrastructure. We've increased our business licensing. I think we have 799 new business licenses since I've come to office. I've really enjoyed serving you these last 4 years. I think we've made progress together, and how we've made this progress is that I've listened to you and worked with you in achieving this. And I hope the opportunity that I get to earn your support again to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman O'Connor. Please welcome our next candidate, Anthony Napolitano.
Hello, my name is Anthony Napolitano. I want to thank you for having me here on this cold night. I am 39 years old. I'll be 40 next month. I'm a Chicago resident my whole life, 41st Ward resident my entire life, born and raised here. I was a Chicago police officer for 5 years. In that time, I received about 48 honorable mentions, a department commendation, a life-saving award, and an Officer of the Month award for the entire city of Chicago. Loved being a police officer. The day came, the fire department called, I took the job. I've crossed over approximately 10 years ago now. Been a Chicago fireman and EMT, serving the city. I love it. I love being a civil servant. That's why I'm here today. I want to serve you as an alderman. I lived in the 41st ward with my wife for the last, I think we've owned a house here now for 10 years. We're raising our 3 children. Our children attend my youngest attends Stock School, my other 2 attend Ebinger School. We love the school systems. We want to support the school systems. We're here to make the neighborhood better. I want to help bring up the infrastructure of the ward. I want to push for more police officers. I don't feel there's enough police officers in the 41st ward. The crime across the city is on a rise. It doesn't stop at the 41st ward. It's bad here as well. I want to advocate for the noise pollution of these planes. The thing that scares me the most, I have to live here. I'm forced to live here. A lot of you aren't. And if we don't fix this problem, a lot of you are going to leave. And we can't give up on that problem. It's very dear to my heart if I wasn't even running for alderman, because it's hurting the neighborhood. I feel that if you give me the opportunity to be your alderman, I'm going to be a full-time alderman. I'm going to leave the fire department and become a full-time alderman. I will no longer report to the fire department as a fireman. Every day I step outside, I'll be only your alderman, and I'll advocate for you, and I'll push for what our neighborhood needs and what we want as a neighborhood and as a ward. I would love the opportunity to be your alderman. I won't let you down. I'm going to do it with an open door policy. We're going to try and do at least 2 nights a week with that door being open. First week, we'd like to do it between 1 and 5. The next week, do it between 5 and 10 o'clock at night for the people that work late. This is a hard-working neighborhood and a hard-working ward. People aren't going to be home all the time. They should have the opportunity to come in and see the alderman. And I want to be that alderman that you can come in and see. I'm not up here as an inspiring career politician. I'm up here as one of you, just an everyday person that wants to bring it back to the ward, bring it back to our core values, and make this 41st ward a strong ward. And I really would appreciate your consideration February 24th for your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Napolitano. Our 3rd candidate, would you please welcome Mr. Joe Lamonto.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight on this frigid February, actually feels like a January evening. My name is Joe Lamonto. I'm 52 years old. I've lived in the ward for over 20 years. My wife, Amy, teaches at Stock School. In fact, Anthony's son and Jamie's son are one of the students of my wife. My stepchildren attend Ebinger Elementary School here in the ward. My current profession is I'm an Ace hardware store owner. I have 2 hardware stores, one in the Wrigleyville area and one in the Mayfair area. I've been doing that for over 30 years. Some of my civic experiences, I'm a formerly elected school board official. I served 9 years on school board at a Catholic school, serving the various roles of finance chair, vice chair, and eventually chairman of the school board. And I'm currently the finance committee chairman at the parish that I grew up with. I'm involved civically as well with the neighborhood groups by Wrigley Field, East Lakeview Neighbors, Sheridan Triangle Gardens, and I help out at Stock when they have any of their fundraisers. The reason that I'm running is I see the city services that I get where my businesses are, and I don't see those same city services here up in the ward. The constant comment is that we have a very large ward, and that in fact is true, and I understand it, but we don't deserve less than what other wards are getting. We pay a lot of money in property taxes. Most of us are getting ready to pay our property tax bill this week, and we should not be getting less than what other wards are getting. And I will advocate for that. We need to change the way money is allocated. It shouldn't be done by the ward. It should be done by the size of the ward. So we get as much street cleaning, as much tree trimming as other wards get. And that's something that I'm really going to fight hard for. I'm also going to fight for the airport noise issue. They're getting ready to put up a new runway or open a new runway in October, and that's going to shift more of the noise into the ward. And we really need someone who's going to be out there fighting for some sort of solution or some help with noise abatement. We really need some solutions as to this problem or working towards it. I mean, there's people who've been waiting 5 years for soundproofing in their homes. uniforms, and it's not right, and we need to accelerate that process. I as well think we need to have more policemen in the 16th district. We're always borrowing policemen from other wards, from other districts, and it's not acceptable. The mayor needs to hire more policemen, and we need more policemen in the... Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had a question. I'm sorry. So I would really advocate for more police hiring and then more police in the 16th district. Pension issues. There's a lot of police, firemen, other city employees. They were promised a pension. I will work hard to identify ways that the city can pay these pensions without doing, without diminishing them. It's a big concern. People like Anthony, firemen, were promised a pension, and they deserve it, and I will do my hardest to make sure that that pension is paid in full. I look forward to answering your questions later, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lamonto. We'll now begin part 2 of the forum. Each candidate will be given up to 1.5 minutes to answer each question. I just ask that each candidate, if you guys can play nice with the microphone there, you're going to kind of have to rotate it a little bit, so thank you in advance. Conducting the question and answer session will be Foster Harlem board member Susan Matuzek. Susan.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Chris. Can you hear me okay here? I'm not the tallest one in the group. Thank you for being here. I'm going to ask the questions, and I'm going to ask the first question, and then I will say who it goes to, okay? We have a certain rotation here. So anyway, thank you for coming out, everybody. I'm a little cold, to tell you the truth. My hands are just like ice. I'll warm up. Anyway, let's begin with the first question. In October of 2013, the flight paths at O'Hare Airport were changed to an almost exclusive east-west landing and takeoff pattern, which has resulted in a significant increase in noise and air pollution over the entire northwest side of Chicago and surrounding western suburbs. If elected, how would you work to better the quality of life in our neighborhood? And I'm going to begin with you, Anthony.
Would you like me to stand or sit? What's easier?
Whatever's good for you.
Sit.
Whatever's more comfortable.
That's a terrific question, and as I covered in the beginning, it's one of the biggest questions that's really plaguing the 41st Ward. What I would like to do is call a hearing, is get the FAA involved, get our mayor involved, get the state involved. It's an issue that if just overlooked, if people just keep saying that it's O'Hare, it's the machine, it's what brings a lot of revenue into the city, that's overlooking our cares and our wants in the 41st Ward. If I even wasn't running for alderman in the 41st Ward, that's an issue that bothers me and bothers everybody. Every morning when my 3 children are woke from a good sleep by these planes taking off, I look around at the neighbors that don't need to be here, like I said before. I'm forced to be here, but a lot of people aren't, and they're gonna leave. And if we give up and make it seem like it's not an issue, when they do leave, the price of our homes are going to go down. So we need to stand up as a group. I'd love to be that figurehead that actually voices our ward's opinion, get together with the other surrounding wards as well, and say that, hey, this is not just the 41st Ward, it's the 45th Ward. It's everybody surrounding us. We have strength in numbers, and we need to come together and make an issue about it, and just don't let them overlook us. Because if they do, like I said, people are going to leave, and they are leaving already. And I do not want to give up. I don't think we should give up. It's a major issue. Am I holding it too close? So we need to come together. We need to request more sound amplifiers to hear what type of decibels these planes are. Still on? What type of decibels these planes are hitting? Because when they're too loud and they're bothering people, it's a major issue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Mary, same question, please.
Thank you. For those of you who may not know this, the O'Hare Modernization Plan was voted on over 10 years ago, by our state, federal, and local level. And it's unfortunate that our previous alderman did not stand up and fight for the quality of life of the 41st Ward. When I came into office 4 years ago, this is a $9 billion project, and it was already in the makings, and there was no turning back. Since I come to office, I have a woman that goes to every ONCC meeting and represents the 41st Ward and tries to work on improving our quality of life. We have pushed for more sound monitors. We will now have 3 in the 41st Ward that will encompass the whole ward, so that we will have a true picture of what impact it has on our whole community. I have met with our airlines. American Airlines has agreed to retiring a strong percentage of their loudest aircraft. We have accelerated the sound installation program here in the 41st Ward. Another thing I brought in is, it's a test pilot here, but we are now going to insulate our historic homes, and that is in the year, it'll be in the year of 15-16. But you have to find a balance as well. We have many trades, people that have their livelihood here at O'Hare. And it is an economic engine for our city, and it is an economic engine for our country, and you have to find a balance for that.
What really scares me is that once they open up this new runway in October, they're going to close down some of the diagonal runways that are helping to alleviate some of the noise. And that is going to be a big problem. By federal law, you can only have, I think, 8 runways at O'Hare. So something needs to be done between now and October until an environmental impact study can be done, so that we can figure out what to do before these runways are closed down. It's imperative that we look at this, because once those runways are gone, as we saw at Meigs Field, they're gone. Nothing is going to bring those runways back. Once again, noise abatement, the environmental impact study needs to be done. It needs to be done the right way, and everybody needs to be involved in doing a correct environmental impact study, so it isn't maybe done the way it was years ago, so that we did have all this airport noise, and it really didn't take into effect what happened to us when the planes were going over our head, people who never had this happen before. I heard an interesting comment at the press conference I was at the other day. People are forced inside now in the summer, where they can't even be out in their yards. Maybe because you have to be in your house and you have to close your windows, maybe the modernization program should give us a rebate towards our Commonwealth Edison bill, because we have to turn our air conditioning on so we don't have to hear the noise. So I would be fully engaged in the process. I would be really someone who you can count on to make other elected officials accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe, you may as well hold on to the microphone, because we're going to start with you for the second question. What is your opinion about red light cameras and speed cameras citywide and in the 41st Ward?
I think we just have 2 that were just put up by Taft High School on Northwest Highway and on Bryn Mawr. I think it's just a revenue generator. I think without the countdown timers, it causes, it can cause some pretty dangerous accidents. I think that the city, when they had their 2.9 second yellow light, really was basically taking money out of the pockets of people. As a business owner, I just can't change the rules and decide that I'm going to shortchange people, and basically that's what was happening. So I'm not a fan of red light cameras. I think there should be a moratorium put on speed cameras and red light cameras. And I also believe that we need to identify revenue sources. I know it's hard, so we can slowly start to eliminate the red light cameras.
Thank you very much. Anthony, you're next.
I believe the red light cameras is kind of a double-edged sword. I'm for the red light cameras in one instance. Is I'm a father of 3 children, and when it comes to my children crossing the street, nothing scares me more than people blowing through that red light. I would like something that would make people say, whoa, I better be careful, not only for the kids, which a lot of people seem to overlook, but because they're going to get a $100+ ticket. On the flip side, I do believe it's just a money generator for the city, and I do believe it's taken a hard impact on a lot of hard-working people. This is the city of Chicago. It's a moving, hustling, bustling city, and people are working 2-3 jobs trying to get from job A to job B, and that just seems to be the way it is. It doesn't give an excuse to speed, but I believe those cameras are kind of hitting people in the pocket, and it's not so much for a safety issue, but to generate money. As far as the speed cameras, personally, I think they're ridiculous. You have a speed camera in the middle of a block telling you to do 20 miles an hour. Nobody's doing 20 miles an hour. As well as people, when they do see it, they're jamming on the brakes. And these are causing rear-end accidents. It's a scary situation. You see those cameras and you watch the red lights go on in the back of the cars. People are stopping abruptly. I'm not a big fan of them. I'm for it for the children's safety at major intersections, but I'm not for them being a money generator. And I think a lot of those speed cameras should be removed, if not all of them. And that's how I feel.
Okay. Mary, you're next.
Regarding the red light cameras, I was encouraged when the mayor asked the inspector general to do an investigation on the company who had the contract, and now that company is barred from doing business with the city, and we have a new person running the red light camera. There's mixed reviews on the cameras, speed and red light camera. We have a red light camera over on Chewy by Juliana's, and it was recommended to remove that camera, and we received a letter from the school and the parish asking to please keep it for the safety of the children and the volume that goes down Chewy Avenue. The speed camera, when you attend community groups by schools and parks and people that live around there, they will tell you that people are speeding around our schools and parks where children are around, and they would like to see more speed cameras. What I am in favor about in the speed cameras is that, yes, does it generate revenue for the city? Yes, but it didn't generate the revenue they thought they were going to get, so that means people are paying attention. The second thing is, some of that revenue goes back to child safety. It goes for speed humps, signage, after-school programs. So at least I see that our money is going back for the purpose it was intended for.
Thank you, Mary. Hold on to the microphone because you're getting the next question. If elected again, what would you do to promote business growth in the 41st Ward, especially on Higgins Avenue, Harlem Avenue, and at the Harlem Foster Shopping Center? Sorry.
So a couple things I have done since I became alderman is we first went after some of our absentee landlords who have chosen to leave their storefronts vacant. I've worked with the building commissioner, and we have brought these businesses back to compliance. You can't force someone to rent, but you can force them to be compliant. On Higgins by Mathers Cafe, we now have someone that purchased those empty storefronts, and we are encouraged that they will be opening new businesses. Over my first year, I've brought our Department of Economic Planning and Development over to the ward, and we've done numerous tours. I am happy to say in January that we have been selected, the 41st Ward, to have a retail study over on Higgins Avenue and in Norwood Park on Northwest Highway. So we will continue to fight to bring resources, because we are in a unique situation because we touch 9 suburbs. And that's why we have to be careful on how we run our businesses here and stay in businesses, because we compete with other suburbs that are a little more lenient with their businesses. I was also on a task force with the city to reduce the amount of business licenses you have in our to operate here, as well as to improve the process of when you're getting a license. It's a one-stop shop, that you're not going from department to department to department. There's always room for improvement, but I think we have started on the right path.
Thank you very much. Joe?
As a business owner, I think I have a lot to offer in terms of helping business owners be identified as well as to help them get started in business. When I first opened my first store, I was 23 years old. Negotiating a lease, going through the city process, it's very difficult. I think in this area here, we need to identify what kind of businesses the neighborhood really needs. And then once you identify those businesses, you seek them out as an alderman. You work with them. You tell incentives to these businesses what we can do to help them. And as an alderman, you have to walk them downtown and make them feel comfortable, and you might even be a part of the lease negotiation. The Harlem Foster Mall has been a great mall. It's a little dated. What could be done financially to update that, to bring in other tenants? So that would be something, that I would work with any tenant we can, and reach out through other real estate companies and say, hey, listen, this is what we can offer you as a neighborhood, as a city, to help improve our area. The Wildwood, Edgebrook area, they're all getting together as business owners in the next couple days to see what they can do to get these storefronts occupied. We have many owners of these properties that, like Mary said, just are sitting on these empty storefronts. Something needs to be done. Someone needs to go up to them and say, why are they getting property tax reductions because of the vacancies? Maybe they should pay the full amount of taxes on their buildings, that they're taking this property tax reduction. There's a guy who has a huge piece of property on Devon Avenue. He's paying $8,000 a year. It should be $40,000 a year. Maybe if he was made to pay the full value of the taxes as opposed to the income approach, then he would be forced to actually seek out people to rent those spaces.
Okay, thank you.
I believe that it's very important to establish a good business area in the 41st Ward. Nobody likes to see these vacant storefronts, and some of these vacant storefronts have been that way for a long time, for years, and it's a difficult process. But I would say it would be a great idea to stop in and talk to the people that own the storefronts and say, listen, you're not making any money with a vacant storefront. Find a way to find these mom and pop shops or people that are interested in starting a new business, and sit down with them, with the storefront owner and the business, and say, hey, maybe we can work out an agreement. Maybe you cut them a deal on the front end, help them figure out how to get their business up and running and established, and after a certain period of time when the business is doing well, then you change the amount that they would pay in rent. Help them get started. Get in there. Walk them through it. I'd like to have someone in our office, and that's one of our biggest goals, is to have someone in our office to sit down and help businesses. Help people acquire the business licenses that are needed. Have an open door policy, Warren. If there's an issue, if there's a business issue, let's go into the alderman's office and speak with the alderman, see how we can fix this. And I also agree with Joe. A great idea was to have someone that can walk downtown with them and help them procure these licenses and help them get through the situation. I don't want to see these storefronts empty. I love this neighborhood. I was born and raised here. I think what we have is a utopia, and it's great when we can walk outside and go from store to store in our neighborhood and not have to go somewhere else and give money to the people that live in this neighborhood or are working hard in this neighborhood. And that's important to me, not only as, hopefully, as an alderman, but as someone that's born and raised and lives here and that loves this area. That's important to me. I don't want to see these empty storefronts anymore. And it doesn't have to be just a me or an alderman issue. We need you to get involved and ask you what you want there. What would the ward like to see? How can we make? Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Hold on to that microphone, because you have the next question. Are you for an appointed or elected school board? And please briefly explain your stance on that.
I am absolutely for an elected school board, and the reason why I'm for that is being working for the city of Chicago for the last 15 years, I have seen when a person comes in from an outside interest and takes over, that their outside interest usually reports to someone that put them there. Their best interest isn't the person they're governing or the person that they're looking, the people they're looking over. I'm very strong with our police department with the appointing of 2 outside superintendents, and I bring that back to an elected school board because those superintendents aren't looking out for the best, in my mind, aren't looking out for the best of that department. They're looking out for who put them there. And I feel that will happen in the exact same way with the school board, if we appoint someone in there, they're not looking out for the best interests of those teachers. They're not looking out for the best interests of those schools. They're looking out for who put them there. And it happens in every department in this city. And I think that we should not be putting our teachers in that situation. I think we should create a situation for them where they feel strong, they feel comfortable, and they're proud, and they have pride in the schools and teaching our children, knowing that the people that are governing them have got their back. Because there's nothing worse than to know that someone doesn't have your back if you're out there doing the best you can. And these are our children. I've got 3 in the system, all 3 in Chicago Public Schools. It's extremely important to me. And all I want to do is see them grow. And that's what I care about, as well as everyone else's children, because these are my friends' children. Or children, I apologize. So,
Thank you very much. Mary, you're next.
When I came into office and when I was running for office, one of the things I heard about is the 41st Ward is an afterthought. We aren't included a lot in decisions that are made. They feel that we were financially stable. We weren't getting into the selective enrollment. I am not in favor, as of today, with an elected school board. And the reason I say that is I don't think people would think that we needed the funds, and they will always look at another part of the city and feel they deserve the funding first. And I do not want to jeopardize bringing more funding to the 41st Ward. We brought in $100 million. And if there was an elected school board, I'm fearful that that money would not have been brought forward here. Do I believe there should be reform? Absolutely. Should it be more accountable? Absolutely. But for the 41st Ward, when I go before the Board of Education, they have listened to the concerns. We are unique here. We are overcrowded. Our schools, our community is very involved. Our schools accelerate. They do very well in the state. And so we were unique. And I don't think many people would see this as a place to invest in. I think they would have put their money somewhere else. So as to date and how I feel today, I think it's best that we respond to one person, the mayor, and the school board. And like I said, we've been successful, and they have listened to our needs.
Thank you.
I'm going to take the third approach. I think we should have a partially elected school board. I firmly believe that it should be regionalized so that we will not be shortchanged in terms of the funding for education. But I also think that you give someone an out when you don't let the mayor appoint someone. He can say, well, I didn't elect the school board. This is the way it goes. I think if you do a partially elected one, then you can hold the mayor and other city officials accountable for, who's on the school board. The part that I struggle with is how do you rotate the people through the process every 3 years, every 2 years, every 4 years? How do you tie all that stuff in? How do you identify people? I'd also wouldn't mind seeing maybe a couple students on the school board, so they can give genuine experiences as to what these, what's going on with some of these decisions. So I believe in a partially elected school board. I just think that we would need to work some stuff out to make it work correctly.
Thank you, Joe. You're also going to get the next question. And here we are, city services. Do you feel there is a need to upgrade basic city services such as garbage and recycling collection, snow removal, street cleaning, and tree trimming? If so, how would you propose to get city funding to pay for these services?
Well, as I said earlier, money is given by ward as opposed to the size of the ward. And until that changes, I really don't know how you're going to get the city services that we deserve up in this ward. If they have one street sweeper per ward and our streets are twice as long as anybody else in the city, then we're only getting half the city services. So I don't know how you're going to do that until the allocation changes. I see where my business is, I see potholes get filled much faster. I see tree trimming done proactively as opposed to reactively when it falls on somebody's car or on somebody's house. I'm always seeing, city services done. Snow plowing, if we looked at the snow tracker during this last snowstorm, I mean, this was a very difficult snowstorm, but we saw very few trucks once again in the 41st Ward. I think we need to have someone, and this is no knock on Charlie Williams, as he's a former policeman who's done a great job, but I think we need to have someone from Streets and Sand, someone who's come up through the ranks and understands how to do it the right way and how to allocate their manpower. Another problem we had with this snowstorm is that we privatized so many things that we didn't have a lot of heavy equipment to move the snow out off of the side streets and stuff. So, you know, that was a problem. As we go forward, we really I need to, as an alderman, advocate for you to get us the resources that we need.
Thank you. Same question, Anthony.
This is also a topic that I think really got us into running for alderman in the 41st Ward as well. Like Mr. Lamano said, it's a tough issue because everything comes down to dollars and cents in the city of Chicago. But for us living here, when we're paying the amount of tax dollars that we don't really want to hear that. We want our service, and we want to push for that service. And also, like Mr. Lamano said, we're only given so much money, and we have the largest ward in the entire city. That should be changed. Someone's got to fight for that. We have to push for more money because it is a large ward, a humongous area, and we're only given so much money to work with. I think it's an issue that we have to take on and actually ask for help from surrounding wards, especially when it comes to snow removal. It is a tough winter. It was an extremely tough winter, but it's not a winter that we've never seen before. In Chicago, you always have to expect the worst, hope for the best. Snow is constant. When it snows every day and I'm at the firehouse, they don't say don't go out because there's too much snow, or it's too thick out there, or it's too bad out there. You go because that's your job and that's what you're supposed to do. So we shouldn't just say, well, you know what, we got to give up because there's not enough money. We have to come up with a way to bring more money to our ward because it is so large. People want more garbage cans. A lot of these garbage cans are destroyed from the squirrels. And I know everyone's probably got that issue. I'd like to see the blue bin, recycle bin go back to the city of Chicago. I think it'd be nice for us to have that. I just believe that once again, with a lot of other issues, it shouldn't just be looked at as, oh, well, there's not enough money there. But Harry, when your tax bill comes paid on time, and hopefully we'll get to your city services. I think it's one of the biggest issues and one of the biggest reasons why I want to run. I want to help the city services. These are our neighborhoods, and we can't give up on them. That's the way I feel.
Thank you. Mary?
Thank you. I don't think there's an alderman in the city of Chicago that wouldn't want to improve our city services. And truthfully, when I came into office 4 years ago, our city was so financially strained that we were struggling. In the last 4 years, though, we continue to get our fiscal house in order, and we've been able to add more money into our city services. And I just think it's important to share some numbers with you. When we talk about tree trimming, I'm just going to use the year 2012 because I came in the middle of 2011. Tree trims, we did 1,428 tree trimming in 2012. In the end of 2014, we trimmed 1,648. When we, for tree removal, 2012, 348 tree removals. 2014, and this is just the year, not a cumulative, 1,172 trees were removed in just the year 2014. So I have been fighting to improve your city services here. When we talk about street repaving, 2011, which it was on my time because it was happening in the fall, 2.6 miles were paved. 2012, I did 4 miles. 2013, I went to 4.5 miles. 2014, I did 5.7. As both of Joe and Anthony have talked about, is we are the largest ward, and each ward gets the same amount of resources. And so I have been fighting for that change, and I'm one of the aldermen that introduced an ordinance to be discussed that we do it by footprint and not by, the way they issue the funding is by the amount of residents. We each have around 53,000 residents in a ward. And since I came to into council, I've been fighting for change, but I'm always looking for new ways to find services to improve our quality. And this past year, what we did is we found a relationship with the county that helped us resurface another 8 to 10 streets. So we are constantly trying to improve it. When we talk about street cleaning, that's right. The 41st Ward is the largest ward. It might not have the same amount as when you get into, Lincoln Park. But a difference here is, though, when you get to Lincoln Park, because they have so many condominiums and more high-rises, they don't get garbage removal, because anything over 4 units, the city does not maintain. So they pay for their own recycling. They pay for their own garbage. So we have a service that they don't have, that their property taxes pay for. Do we want to have more street cleaning? Absolutely. We also find challenges because in the areas that Joe's referring to where his businesses are, they are part of a TIF district or a special service tax where some of that is paid for. So it's not just out of everyone's property tax. This is an additional tax.
Thank you, Mary. You will also have the next question, Mary. What is your opinion of the Chicago Police Department, namely that of the 16th District, which serves the entire 41st Ward? If elected, what changes, if any, would you make to the system?
Well, I have a great deal of respect for the 16th District. I think they do an amazing job here representing and serving our ward. They have last month, it was in the paper that we were at a historic low in crime here in the 41st Ward. Do we want more police? Absolutely. Do I fight for it all the time? Absolutely. Things that we've worked on, though, to improve the service here is we have worked with OEMC and how they release our calls. Before, they would sit and hold them maybe longer than need be and wait till maybe they thought a car was released and finished a job. Now it automatically goes to the supervisor, so the supervisor can determine when maybe speed up a call time. I work with OEMC and how they, our call takers are taking the call. That we are fortunate here in the 41st Ward. We don't have the same violent crimes that we are seeing in other parts of the city. So even I have listened to some of our 911 calls and not happy with some of the way they were handled. And I've had the director of OEMC speak to our residents and apologize, and we found ways to improve it. We're looking at ways to even consider shrinking the size of the 16th district. I'm looking at data to see if that's even feasible. But we do want more police. We all want more police, but right now, if when they talk about hiring 1,000 cops, in 10 years, that adds up to $1 billion. And we are still trying to pay for the police we have, and I would hate to go back into a situation that promises are made that aren't kept, and then these gentlemen and women who have served us do not receive the benefits they so deserve.
Thank you very much. Joe?
As we knock on doors, a lot of people are talking about their neighbors getting broken into and waiting 3-4 hours for someone to write a police report. That's unacceptable. It's not a reflection on the men and women who serve in the 16th District. It's a reflection on the fact that there's not enough policemen up here. We had an incident back in August where a car was stolen in Niles. Niles police chased them into Chicago. We were fortunate enough that the Niles and Park Ridge police were able to help out because it took a while for the Chicago police to actually show up to the incident. We need to figure out ways. As we hire more police, we need to have a new pension system for them. So we can't say it's going to be too much money. We need to have a tier 2 type pension program so we can hire more police. At least these men and women will know going forward that this is what the pension is, and they can make the decision as to whether they want to take the job. And we really need to, I think since the mayor's taken over, there's actually 300 less policemen in the city of Chicago. And once again, we're always bringing police in from other districts. And when we do have a call, are they going to really know the area as well as they need to? And is that going to slow response times down when there really is an emergency? So we need police, and we need the police to be in the district as opposed to us borrowing people because we're short of manpower.
Thank you.
I come from a police family. I was a former police officer. My father, my uncle, my brother, my cousins, my brother-in-law, father, everyone Chicago police. Everybody. They kind of were upset when I crossed to the other side in the fire department, but that's a long story. It's one of the biggest issues. Again, there's a lot of big issues, but it's one of the biggest issues in the 16th district. It is an enormous district. Once again, the ward, enormous, the district, enormous. It's hard to cover. Most of the dock areas in the 16th district, which is where the most crime is committed, is they figure it on the southeast end of the district, which leaves the northwest end up here with less police officers. As we know, these houses are being broken into, these garages are being burglarized. They're breaking into cars, like you heard in the CAPS meeting, CAPS notes. They're breaking into cars to steal change. They're committing crimes all throughout the ward. And this is something, you know, that needs to be stopped. We need more police officers. 16th district is an incredible district. They're working as hard as they can with what they got. But when you don't have enough, you're going to struggle. There's cars that are called 99 cars. That means there's only one officer in it. When I worked on the west side of Chicago, we were all 1099 cars or 10-4 cars, which were 2 officers in those vehicles. Our gang teams and our tag teams, there's 12 men per tag team, 12 men per gang team, sometimes 10. Up to 2 tag teams and 1 gang team, or 2 gang teams and 2 tag teams in the 16th district. They're being sent to other districts. They're working crime in other districts because apparently our crime isn't bad enough, but it is bad enough. When I leave the house for 24 hours and go to the firehouse, nothing makes me more scared than leaving my wife and 3 children home alone. And I know we're not living in the worst neighborhood in the city of Chicago, but the crime is there, and we can't ignore it. Because when they break into your house and you become the victim, then it's the biggest thing in the world. And by us just letting that go and waiting for that to happen, it's unacceptable. We need to hire more police officers. We need to fix our pension issues. Our pension issues, let's use the TIF funds. We got a lot of money in those TIFs that can help shore up those pensions.
Thank you very much. Hold on to that microphone, please. How have you served your community on a local level? And tell us what local organizations or groups you belong to.
I've served our community on a local level as a policeman and as a fireman. When I was a police officer, I was assigned to the 15th district, but I've worked in the 16th district numerous times. As a fireman for the last 10 years, I've been assigned on the west side over by the Grand and Natchez, but I'm always up here working over on Raven and Engine 79 over on Lehigh. I've worked the ambulance here. I've been in a lot of people's houses, and I love it. I love it. I love going to help people. It's all I ever wanted to be was a civil servant. When I saw my father do it, my brother, my whole family, I don't want to get into it again, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to serve people. As cliche or as corny as that sounds, nothing is more fulfilling to me than to doing that job as a police officer or as a fireman. I would love to do it for you as an alderman. I'm a part of St. Baldrick's. A near and dear friend of mine's daughter was diagnosed with cancer 5 years ago, and she beat it. And St. Baldrick's was one of the biggest foundations that helped them. So every year for the last 5 years, we raise money through St. Baldrick's and shave our heads. As goofy as I'm going to look next month, it's a tradition when we shave our heads. And do it for the foundation. I've also helped set up a charity for the Wounded Warriors through the Chicago Fire Department skating against the Chicago Police Department and a hockey team. I play hockey for the department, and we brought a lot of money and we gave it directly to a Wounded Warrior. And it's extremely fulfilling. I donate my time at Ebinger School for my kids, at Stock School. I've spoke in the capacity as a fireman or as a police officer or just as a concerned parent. And I donate my time to Ebinger School all the time with my wife. I love it. Nothing to me is greater than these schools in the ward that we live in. I love seeing these kids grow, and I love being a part of it. And I want to continue that, and I would love to continue it as your alderman. What I would call a civil servant, just in a different capacity, and I would love that opportunity to serve you.
Thank you, Anthony. That question goes to Mary next.
I would start before I became an alderman. I came in when I started my business here, I became very active in the community where my business was located in. I was part of the Chamber of Commerce. In that time, I grew into serving as president for 6 years. In that role, I expanded our Edison Park Fest and made it one of the most recognized fests in the city. And one of the reasons is it's so successful is because I brought the community and the business district together, and we didn't have to hire outside services, so the money that was raised there would stay within the community. I served in the Edison Park Community Council. I was one of the initiators of having a scholarship fund there. I've just completed my 18th year. I'm the founder of the Edison Park Turkey Trot. Every year we choose a new charity, and as I mentioned earlier, we have raised over $100,000, hundreds of thousands of dollars, I should say. Serving as your alderman, I become more active, well-rounded in the ward. I helped a lot of our races starting around the ward, and community events I would volunteer in. But on a personal level, I've gotten a little more involved with Mercy Home and child abuse prevention, where I've become a spokesperson. So before I've ever come to you and talked to you about serving you as an alderman, I think I have shown to you my commitment to this community and how I've helped build it and shown my love for it, for volunteering and helping it grow years prior to me ever even considering being your alderman.
Thank you very much. Joe?
Since I was 18 years old, I've done a lot of volunteering. The parish I grew up in, I ran a floor hockey program for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade boys. I got a bunch of my friends together, and we did a program so that these kids could have some. We had no sports program at the parish whatsoever. We couldn't afford it. It was a very, very poor parish. So we went out and we organized something for these kids to do. I was on school board, like I said, for many years. Unfortunately, it wasn't in the 41st Ward, but it was something that I wanted to do for my parish that I grew up in and give something back. I've been active at Stock School, where my wife teaches, help them with their Stockapalooza fundraiser for many, many years. I reached out to the pastor from St. Tecla's. They're in a consolidation right now with the Archdiocese. I'm sure many of you are aware of that. And I was a part of the consolidation with two parishes, St. Veronica's and St. Francis Xavier. In fact, one of the fallouts was Father Walsh, whose picture is up there, was actually the pastor at St. Veronica's when we did the consolidation. So I've reached out, outside of running for alderman, to hopefully help the parish answer any questions when dealing with the Archdiocese, because this is probably one of the most difficult things that a parish can go through is the consolidation. I haven't spoken to anybody, but I really want to help them with this process. Right now, I serve as the Finance Committee Chairman at the parish that I grew up in as well. I'm very active in the area that my business is. We have a lot of community groups there, the East Lakeview Neighbors, the Sheridan Triangle Gardens. I'm very active, and I will continue to do that as alderman, to constantly be engaged with every part of this ward. This is a huge ward. I think my wife and I have been to like 10 pancake breakfasts in the last few weeks, and I think there's one coming up over here. So it's really a matter of of being involved and giving back to the community.
Thank you very much. Hold on to that microphone. You have survived all 7 questions, but we have 2 bonus ones. So Joe, tell us something unique about yourself.
Unique about myself. When I started, when I was 23 years old, I was the youngest Ace Hardware store owner in the country. I went in partners with my brother and my father, but they were never active in the business. The franchise was given to me. It was probably one of the most intimidating things that I've ever been through as a person. I went from working for someone to then having 6 employees, and it really helped me to be where I'm at today in terms of the confidence of running a business, helping people, and to encourage other people to be an entrepreneur. It's very sad that because of the way the economy is, that young people can't really get into a business unless their parents are in it or a relative or something like that. So That's something about me that like I said, I was 23 years old, and I was the youngest Ace Hardware store owner.
Thank you. Very good. Anthony.
Something unique about me, and I apologize because I tend to repeat the same stuff over and over, but unique thing about me is I have a lot of pride in what my family does as being civil servants for the city of Chicago, as well as police officers, and getting the opportunity to be a fireman. I wear that with extreme pride. I love telling people what I do for a living. And I really try to instill that on my children. I'm a huge family man. I love my children. And something unique about me that my wife thinks is extremely goofy, but every time I watch my children, all three of my children play hockey, when I watch them play, my eyes tear up, and because I get so excited to see them out there doing something that I have so much passion for, and I tend to post it online a little bit too much, and that my kids are playing hockey, and I have two girls playing, and I'm so for it. I'm so for them in the sports and the organization, and I love watching them come up. And I want them to be strong and have a good role model in their life. And I'm hoping that's the trend I'm setting for my children. And you know, I'm an extreme family man, and I treat this ward as my family. And for years before this even came through, when I decided to run, people used to make fun of me because every time I went outside cutting my lawn, everybody would stop and I'd wave at them, and they called me the lawnmower alderman. This was about maybe 8 or 9 years ago. They said, you know, you're always out there talking with everybody and shooting the breeze. My wife said, all I need to do is put on the black socks and sandals, and it would make it perfect for me out there. But I just have a lot of passion, and you know, I want to thank Alderman O'Connor for letting me to sit up here with her, as well as Mr. Lamonto. And it's all about passion. It's all about community. And in the end, whatever goals we have, I do believe it's for the best of the 41st Ward, because we are a family here, and I cherish that.
Thank you. Let's hear from Mary.
I feel part of my life has been an open book, so I will just share a few personal things. I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. I drink, I know I drink way too much Diet Coke. I'm in McDonald's with their big old, probably twice a day. I'm obsessed with ironing. I iron all the time. And as a child, I was grounded from the vacuum cleaner because I was obsessed with keeping the house clean. So I have a few exceptions, but that's probably what's unique about me.
Great. Hold on to that microphone, Mary. We're going to close with you. Last question. Tell us something that you admire about each of the other candidates. A trick question.
Really? So I suppose I will say it in a group setting at first. You know, it takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there and run for public office. And I truly believe that both of these men care deeply about this community. And even in my first term, when there was 11 of us, you learn from your opponents. And some of their ideas are good, and I've implemented some of the things I had learned in the past 4 years. So I truly believe that we're all here to better serve the 41st Ward. You know, I have a respect for Anthony, that he has chosen to be a first responder, and he has served as a policeman and now as a fireman. And I have a great deal of respect for Joe, because I am also a small business owner, and I know what a risk it is to start your own business and the responsibility of running a business. And like Joe and myself, you know, I'm also active in our community. So I have a great deal of respect for them, though. Back to bringing it back is that that everyone cares about this community and wants to improve your quality of life.
Absolutely, I agree. Joe?
Part of this campaign has really been, like Mary said, learning about the other two candidates. Anthony is a very passionate individual. He comes from a great family. I've met his mom and dad at a couple of the events. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've met Anthony's family at a couple of the events. Anthony is very passionate. I have so much respect for him as a first responder. I mean, besides his family, he cares so much about the city. He cares about this neighborhood, and I respect him greatly for not only his passion, but for his commitment to the community. He's run very hard. He's kept this campaign clean, and Mary has done the same thing. I think if you really look at the three of us, we want to do the best for the ward. And we haven't gotten into the politics that you've heard about in other wards. I mean, I've heard some real horror stories. We've had a couple minor incidents, but I don't think that's a reflection on any of us. And Mary, once again, as a business owner, I respect her as well. It's a battle. There's a lot of competition, like she said, because we have surrounding businesses in other suburbs that we're always competing with. I did see that once she's out of the deli business, she may want to work in a hardware store because she's been
There's an offer on the
taking
table.
pictures in the neighborhood hardware store, which Jim Turney's a great guy at Foster and Harlem and stuff. But I take that in good nature. That's a part of if that's the worst thing that happens, I have no problem with that. But these are both great people here, and I have a lot of respect for both of them.
Very nice. Anthony, you get to close.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
When we started this, we started going door to door in say August, July, in that area. I've knocked on doors and talked to people, and you can ask them, and anyone I've talked to even to this day, whenever I bring up Alderman O'Connor, I never say that I do not like the woman, or there's anything bad about the woman. I always say I think we could do things different. I always say, and you can hold this to me and ask anybody, it says I tip my hat off to Alderman O'Connor because this is the city of Chicago, and this is city politics, and she put herself out there and took this job on, and I think she's doing her best. I think she's doing her absolute best. This is not an easy job for anybody across the ward, any of these wards. It's a hard job, and you have to respect a person like Alderman O'Connor for putting herself out there and taking on the job. You have to applaud it, because as going through this process, this is crazy. This is a crazy process, and Mr. Lamonto, I've got to know Joe over the last couple of months, and he's an extremely passionate man, and his wife is an incredible teacher. My son loves his wife as a teacher, and me and Joe have a lot of friends in common, and this part of the election is you do try to find out as much as you can about the person you're running, and I found out Joe is the same as me. Same as me. We're looking for the same issues, we want to fix the neighborhood in the same way, and we're looking for the opportunity to do it. And I do tip my hat off to both of them for allowing me to be here with them. And biggest thing is this is a passionate city. And when it came to a point at one time in the newspaper, people were stealing signs. I knew Alderman O'Connor didn't ask anybody to do it, and I knew Joe Lamonto didn't ask anybody to do it. That's it. That's the city of Chicago. It's passion. People want their person to win, and you have to love that. You have to love that at least we have some passion left, and people are out there. And I hold no ill will, and like I said, I'm just happy to be here, and I appreciate your time as well. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight, braving the cold, because it is so horrible out there. But I also want to say, don't forget to vote next Tuesday, okay? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Susan, and good luck, candidates, this coming Tuesday.